Hi everyone, welcome to Nature Walks with Ruth. Today, we're going to explore leaf litter. We'll talk more about what leaf litter is, we'll take a walk in the woods and see what we can find, then we'll record what we find in a field journal. Let's get started. It's late autumn, and over the past few weeks, all kinds of things have been falling out of the trees and onto the ground. Depending on the plants and trees that grow in your area, you might find bright yellow maple leaves, crispy brown oak leaves, gray strips of bark, and so much more. This messy-looking layer of stuff is called leaf litter, and it is actually a very important part of the ecosystem, as all of these leaves, twigs, pine cones, acorns, and other bits and pieces of plant matter break down. They contribute vital nutrients to the soil underneath. I may have been a little too focused on the ground beneath my feet, because at one point along my walk, I realized that an unexpected guest had hitched a ride. It was an inchworm. Despite the name, inchworms are actually caterpillars. I brought it over to a nearby leaf where it would blend in as it figured out what to do next. Inchworms eat all kinds of leaves, fruits, and flowers, so it might even choose to stop here for a snack. Its scientific name, Geometridae, literally means earth measuring, and the way they move really looks like they're measuring out each step. Once the inchworm was settled on its new perch, I said goodbye and continued on my walk. Leaf litter carpets the ground in a protective layer before the snow arrives, keeping moisture in and cold out. A lot of creatures hide underneath this layer during the winter. And soon enough, I did find something hiding in the leaf litter. This is a woolly bear, another kind of caterpillar. Woolly bears are safe to handle, so I let it crawl into my hand before picking it up very carefully and bringing it to my porch to observe. Woolly bears will curl up into a ball if they feel threatened, but this woolly bear was more than comfortable exploring my hand, so I was able to get super close. And just look at how beautiful this guy is. Its hair grows in tufts all along its length, and the black and brown pattern helps it blend in with autumn foliage, or my sweater sleeve. Since they can't move very quickly, caterpillars have a variety of ways to defend themselves against predators. This ability to camouflage is a woolly bear's main defense. The woolly bear crawls along on many pairs of limbs, 6 pointy legs and 10 stubby ones that aren't legs at all, but are actually structures known as prolegs. They have a similar function in that they're used for moving around, but they don't have any joints. They will eventually disappear during metamorphosis when the caterpillar develops into a moth. Even though this woolly bear looks very different from the inchworm that I met earlier, they share a few similarities. The inchworm had prolegs too. They were simply arranged on its body in a different way. I also saw some similarities in their behavior. Both the inchworm and the woolly bear swung their heads around when they were exploring new places. Caterpillars don't have the greatest vision, so this was likely helping them take a look around. Now that I've taken some time to get to know the woolly bear, it's time for me to add it to my field journal. I use a combination of words, drawings, and pictures to record what I observe in nature. I started out with the date and the name of the animal that I'd found. Then I wrote a short description. The woolly bear is a round, fuzzy caterpillar with black and brown bands. These bands were formed by clumps of hair on each segment. Like all insects, the woolly bear has 6 true legs. It also had 10 stumpy prolegs, evenly distributed along the rear end of its body. I also noticed that there were several longer hairs near the head and rear. I wonder if they're used for sensing nearby objects. Since caterpillars are nearsighted, it might help them avoid bumping into things. Next, I drew a sketch of the woolly bear. I tried to focus on its distinguishing features. These caterpillars are super fuzzy, so fuzzy that you can barely see any other part of them. I drew in the 3 bands of color you see across their body. I added a little head. Then I drew the 3 pairs of pointy legs and the 5 pairs of prolegs. The final set was kind of propped backwards. I also added the longer hairs at the head and rear. Then I added a simple scale. This particular woolly bear was about 1.5 inches long. Finally, I added a notes section where I could write down anything else I had noticed about the woolly bear. I had found it on a pile of leaves in the leaf litter. I also wrote down some distinctive ways that the woolly bear moved. It crawled along in a wave-like motion, which was very different from how the inchworm had moved. This probably has to do with the arrangement of limbs under its body. When the woolly bear was leaning over the edge of the railing, I saw that it held on with the back pair of prolegs as it swung its head around, seemingly using those back legs as an anchor as it explored. I finished up by signing the entry at the bottom of the page. When I had completed my journal entry, it was time to say goodbye to my new friend. It's almost December, so this woolly bear is on the hunt for a nice spot to spend the winter under dead leaves, twigs, and plant matter that cover the soil. As the temperature drops, the woolly bear will rest under the leaf litter until spring, when it will make a cocoon and emerge as a moth. Thanks for exploring with me today. I hope to see you again soon for another nature walk.